everybody. I'm Dr. Arjan Khalsa, and welcome to this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in the world. It's my morning. Today's SikhNet Sikhs at Home event, and I wanted to do something a little different today. I know there's been amazing Gurbani and music and people talking about ways to keep ourselves uplifted, and I've done some breathing techniques and talked about some foods the last time I did this. So I want to do something a little bit different, a little bit more kind of touchy-feely, even though you're not here with me, but I'm here and I'm talking to you. I did just wash my hands. We're washing our hands several times throughout the day or more. So what I want to talk about today is the healing effects of food. So, is it a little bit behind here? I'm going to try to be watching comments as we're going. Is my husband in here today? It's a little bit behind now, what I have here. So my comments are going to be a little bit slower on the iPad that I'm looking at. So if you have comments, if you want to tell me where you're from, that'll help me get a little bit better idea of what kind of things you have available to you in the world right now. I was trying to think of foods that most people can access right now. I understand that in India and some other places, people are really locked down and may not be able to access fresh foods. However, where I am, we can still get fresh food, and that's what I'm really leaning on. I'm doing a mix of fresh food with things like dry bulk goods. So things like I have nuts, I have seeds, I have beans, and I have grains. So my grains include quinoa, rice, millet. I have things in my cabinet like almonds, which I'm still waiting for more. I got a huge bag of cashews the other day. I have dried apricots, dried coconuts. I have a big bag of dates I just put into soak when I need a few. These are my dates, and I'll talk about the healing effects of those. And I have chia seeds, I have hemp seeds. So that's kind of the things I keep in my my cabinets all the time, not just during this time. But for some reason, I always have this weird feeling of just making sure we always have enough in case anything like this does happen. Of course, I don't have stuff for weeks, but I do have things for a period of time for sure, so we could get by. Well, we could get by for a couple of weeks if we needed to. But if you have access to fresh food still, I really would like to invite you and encourage you to have as much fresh food as you can. I know it's possible that you may not be able to get to your local markets. If you're not, then you can get things like, if you're not able to get things like, even like I have here ginger, onions, and garlic, which I'll talk about in just a few minutes. Most of you already have those. That's such a main staple in most Indian cooking, so most of you have that. We're going to talk about the healing properties of those, and especially during this time, why it's really important. They're always important, but especially during this time, we'll talk about the health benefits of those. So I'm not seeing where anybody's from or what you're going through, so I'm going to hope what I'm talking about is relevant to wherever you are in the world and what you can access. I am really hi from Detroit. Okay, so I'm curious, like someone just messaged there in Detroit. Let me know, like, are you able to get fresh food still? Are you able to have grocery store access? Can you get to your farmer's market? We put this bowl of fresh food out because at our Gurdwara property, they actually started greenhouses a couple of years ago. And so I went and picked up my share yesterday, and I feel like this time, I'm always into local foods and supporting our local farmers. For many reasons. One, I think it's really important to support local economies. It's also important to support local farmers because that's what I've been reading lately is actually a lot of big farmers they're losing. You know, in Punjab, it's a huge issue right now. A lot of big farmers are losing their land. It's not affordable for them anymore. So we want to support. Oh, from London, awesome, Kirandeep, thank you. Okay, Okay, so Raman's saying he has grocery stores, yes, no farmers markets open yet. So thanks for the feedback, guys. It helps me kind of gear this. I want to make sure you're getting what you need from this if you're here, that it's helpful. But yeah, I want to do a little shout out to local growing. And I'm realizing, especially during this time where so much, at least in the US, our food is imported from other places. And I don't think we're getting a lot of that right now. So when we support local farmers, that you help support your local economy, but you also have fresher food. It's not lost as much nutrients. I was just listening to a podcast the other day, and he was talking about how sometimes when you get a head of lettuce at the regular grocery store, sometimes it's already been 2 weeks from when they cut it from the field and they bring it to the grocery store. So, and then they have to use preservatives a lot of times so it doesn't rot on the way. So and it's losing a lot of its nutrients by the time it gets to your table. So when we're looking at food, we're looking at not just filling our bellies and our emotional satiation from eating. We also want to make sure we're getting these vital nutrients. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about, well, not a little, but I want to talk a lot about the health benefits of a lot of these foods. I have this book here, and I hope you can see it here in the picture. This book is amazing. If you don't have it, it's called The Life-Changing Foods Book. And I love the way this guy talks, because he talks a lot of how, if you're familiar with Ayurveda or yogic style foods, then you may already know a lot of this. He talks so much about this. And then he talks about the spiritual aspect of plants and foods. And I just think it's so beautiful, and it just makes me so happy when I read about it. So I was really happy to pick up my order yesterday. We got beets. These are beets, small ones, but beets. We have these little mini carrots we got from our greenhouse. And they actually, what's really cool is in these greenhouses, they're playing Gurbani Kirtan 24 hours a day. So we have the blessing of the Nod, of the Kirtan, of the Nam into our vegetables. We have kale here, which I love. Dill, which we put in our goat cheese, and I made flaxseed crackers the other day, so we put dill on there. We have a little bunch of chard, which I think we're gonna use a little bit of each of these greens. I'm gonna teach you how to make a green smoothie. I actually don't know what these things are called, but I thought they were really cute and pretty. I'll figure them out. And then we got parsley. So some of these things we'll be using in our cooking class today. And hi, Just Meat from Toronto. Thank you for joining us, everybody who's on here. Super fun doing this, and I love to cook. I know a lot of you probably cook out there also. Oh, we got spinach too. Here's our fresh spinach from the garden, from our greenhouses also. So we're going to be talking about, and you see there's a lot of greens. Greens we want a lot of right now, because and every green has its own healing property to it. But they all have in common, they have huge amounts of vitamin C. They have huge amounts of antioxidant properties. So when we have more antioxidants in our system, we have more oxygen, so our bodies can get rid of those yucky cells. When we have, I can't think of the right word right now, but when you have too many free radicals, that's the right word. So if we have bad oils, viruses, toxins from our environment, so like air pollution or all the sprays they put on our clothes and our furniture, we're breathing all that in, and they're called free radicals. So when we eat lots of greens, they create this antioxidant property in our system. So it helps heal us on so many levels. So there's so much I want to talk to you about. I was like going to make this short today, but I get really excited about food, because when you look at it, you see the vitality of it, you see the beauty of it. And so even just looking at it, it starts to heal your system. So especially now, while we're in this pandemic that we're all experiencing, we want to make sure what we're putting into our bodies, what we're putting into our minds, is healing and nourishing and uplifting for you. So a couple things I want to keep this super positive. I told my husband I'm not going to talk about all the bad things that we're all eating, but I do have to say something to that, because, and if you saw my class last Sunday, or if you happen to be on my class, someone else from UK, someone from New York City, so awesome, someone from North Carolina, a couple people from New York. Hope y'all are doing well. I have some friends in New York. I'm just checking on them periodically to make sure they're okay. They're kids who work on Broadway, and they're sitting at home. So I'm checking on everybody with just sending lots of love to all of you wherever you are. So during this time, making sure what you eat is important, but also making sure what you don't eat. So I'm just going to spend a couple minutes on what you want to avoid right now. So you want to avoid things like dairy. Dairy it clogs up. It's like a clog. It creates mucus and it clogs up our lymphatic systems. So you want to avoid dairy as much as possible. And I'm going to admit, I do have my tea in the morning that I really, really love. And I have not been able to get away from dairy milk, cow milk. I've tried alternative milks and it just does not do it. I need like rich, robust tea first thing in the morning. If I ever feel like I'm getting sick, I stay away from all dairy 100%. And I have clear teas instead of that, because I just know the more dairy I have, the more mucus I have, I potentially get sore throats. So especially in this time when we're trying to keep our immune systems up, and especially because this virus is attacking the throat and the respiratory system, you want to make sure all of your throat stays really clear. So that chai, that paneer, all those desserts, all that like yummy, creamy things that you're going to have if you eat pizza, things like that. This is a really good time to stay away from that sort of thing. So stay away from dairy. Second thing is sugar. So refined sugar is mostly what I'm talking about. Sugar takes the vitamin C out of the body. So it leaches vitamin C out of the body. And what we need is lots of vitamin C right now. So vitamin C has actually been found to help. It's like an antiviral. It can help actually boost your immune system and help get those viruses out of your system. And my disclaimer is, nothing is ever a guarantee. So what we're trying to talk about today and all of these things is giving yourself the best possible chance you have to stay healthy, boost your immune system, and keep your body in a strong fighting place. So that's my caveat. So you want to stay away from especially white refined sugar. I pretty much never have white refined sugar. I never have it in my house. I never cook with it. My alternatives are coconut sugar. I use maple syrup. Sometimes I use agave, and I use sucanat, which is like a cane sugar that's been dehydrated. So it still has the minerals and the nutrients, because cane in itself, sugar cane, actually has minerals and nutrients in it. So it can help use the sugar once it's in your body, and it's not depriving your body of that vitamin C. So if you're having the sucanat or coconut sugar, and I know there's the environmental thing with the orangutans and destruction of the forest, which I'm not going to get into right now. So I try to mix things up. So I'm not using one of everything all the time, because I want to be aware of the environment, and I don't want to put too many of the same things in my body all the time, or my family's bodies. So I try to use those other sugars instead. I use honey sometimes in my tea in the morning. I don't typically cook or bake with honey, because Ayurvedically speaking, it actually creates toxicity when it's heated too high. So I typically stay away from honey. So no dairy, stay away from sugar. The other thing is gluten. So gluten is the protein found in wheat. And a long time ago, wheat was okay. Like, we ate it, our ancestors have eaten it forever. The difficulty with it now, back in the 50s, 60s, or 70s, I can't remember, sometime, 50 or so years ago, some scientists got together with some people that are dealing with food, and they thought there was going to be a food crisis at some point. So they wanted to create a wheat that was shorter. So wheat used to be really long. Now they've created it so it's shorter. It's more bug resistant, and it has a faster growing time. So they've genetically modified it so much. So now the gluten content is really, really high in there, and our bodies just have such a hard time digesting it. So it comes out in different people in different ways. Some people get headaches, some get rashes, some have digestive difficulties. Some people it's lethargy, like just feeling really tired, heavy limbs. Some people have body aches and pains, autoimmune diseases. There's all kinds of things that have been linked to gluten sensitivity. I'm not going to go into all of that right now, but what's important to me right now is that you keep your health up, making sure I'm not missing anything here. Raw turbinado sugar, I believe, is okay. I personally use turbinado sugar. So yes, and Kinandeep was asking about taking extra vitamin C at this time. Kinandeep, I'll get into that also, because that's really important. There's a lot of foods that contain vitamin C, because I know some people may not have access to being able to buy more supplements. So I'm going to go into how you can supplement with your food, or if you can get a vitamin supplement, how you can, what kind of dosage you can be taking. So I'm going to do that in a little bit. So stay tuned on that one. Priya's asking about best way to wash greens during this pandemic. I am actually taking, so I know they wash these greens because I bought these from our Gurdwara's greenhouse. So I know they're really clean, and they've been taking all these precautions to make sure they're wearing gloves and they're wearing masks and they're clean. What I am doing is actually, I have really clean soap. I don't use I don't buy anything from the grocery store. Like I don't buy anything that's like colored blue or green or orange, because to me that has way too many chemicals in it for me. When we were in Mexico, I bought this, all your soap should be clear. It shouldn't have any dyes, no chemicals in it. The one I have right now is from Shackley. I buy from one of my patients, and I just take and it's super concentrated. So I take 1 drop right now, and I put it in warm water, and I wash my greens. I'm washing all my vegetables, even if it has a peel on it. So mangoes, bananas, apples, whatever I get, I'm washing all of it. Because I'm realizing when I go to the store and I'm looking at this package and I'm like, it has ingredients I don't like, I'm putting it back down. I'm not using it, but then someone else is going to pick it up and look at it too. And so we're spreading germs that way. So I'm trying not to get too crazy about this, but it's the same thing with our vegetables. So I'm kind of like trying to wipe everything down, or if I bought this a while ago. So this is pre-COVID, but I'm wiping things down, or if I touch something, I'm making sure I'm washing my hands. So I'm doing that with all my fruits and vegetables as well, even if I peel them. So I have this ginger with the skin on it here. So I'm also washing this and making sure I'm washing it with soap and water also, and peeling it. So hope that answers the question. Hi, Beer Car. Nice to see you, darling. So yes, I hope that answers that question. So we talked about getting away from dairy, sugar, gluten, and the other thing is chocolate. As much as we love chocolate, and especially chocolate is so, it kind of like helps our heart, and emotionally speaking, it really makes us happy, but it's a chemical thing. It releases endorphins. So chocolate's actually not good for us. Sorry, everybody. Hate to break that bubble, but I would suggest staying away from chocolate right now. You can find an alternative like carob here in the US and Canada, I think, and probably in Europe you can get a hold of that. I have carob powder and I have carob chips, so I'm using that. I made cupcakes last week. They were gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan. And they had like a little bit of milk, and I made peanut butter frosting, but I used carob instead of chocolate, because with chocolate, and it's allergy season where I live too, so I can feel everything start, like my eyes get itchy, my throat starts getting mucus. So this is another thing for you to start noticing. If you're kind of new to looking at food as medicine, start watching how your body reacts to certain things. I'm pretty clear now, I feel really good, I'm really vital. I don't have a lot of pain, so I know like if I eat something, pretty quickly my body will respond, like within a couple minutes. My husband's always made fun of me for that, but it's really true. Like as soon, because our body, like we have receptors in our mouth that go straight up to our brain, and because our brain has to process right away, is this something that is a poison? Is it okay for us? Like our body, it's quick. It doesn't even get down to our stomach and start processing. Like as soon as we see things, our brain starts processing the food and what it is, if it agrees with us or if it doesn't. And then once you put it in your mouth, your brain's already processing chemically what's going on in your mouth. So your body's going to already start dealing with it. So I'm at the point, I've been like this for years, but I can eat something. If I eat a carrot that's not organic, I'll immediately my mouth will start swelling up and getting itchy. So I have to be really careful with that. Same with bananas. Okay, so Kinandeep was asking about alternative to sugar. Sorry, let me just open this up really quick. But can I do this with info, as I do react badly with sugar generally? So Kinandeep's asking about sugar alternatives. I use coconut sugar and honey. I use maple syrup, and I make sure, it sounds like you probably already know this, but make sure you're using real maple syrup, not the, I won't name brands because I might get in trouble, but there's those kind of brands you get at the store and it's like corn syrup and water or something. Don't get that stuff. Get like real Vermont or Canadian maple syrup. It's expensive. I know, so I use it very sparingly. I mostly use it for my tea. So we go to Trader Joe's and I can get a big bottle for like $14, or I don't know what it's going to be now. Maple syrup, and then I use sucanat. That's another one. So those are my big ones I use. Sometimes I use agave. I know agave is controversial, so I don't get that too much. It's interesting. I was researching just on some different oils this morning so I could share with you guys. I was reading an article about canola oil, which every class I've taken, everything I've written, everything I've read, they say canola oil is bad. But then there's also research saying it's totally fine and it's high in omega-3 oils. So I think everything you look at with food, especially if it's processed food, and this guy I was reading yesterday, he said that, they even say like broccoli can contribute to gout. But then other people are like, no, it has a really high vitamin C. So you have to really look at everything that you're eating. Like I just try to do a balance of everything. Like they even say like kale can be bad and broccoli is bad because it affects the thyroid negatively, but then it has so many amazing other health benefits. I don't eat kale every day. I don't eat broccoli every day, but once or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week I do. So with all the sweeteners, I do the same thing. I just kind of mix it up. Like I don't do one sweetener every day, and I don't eat that much sweets. And if I do, stevia is another one. And my uncle, we were just down in Mexico a few weeks ago, and I really love this. I don't normally like, Roman, I'm going to answer your question about cacao in just a second. Okay, cool. Rajmantra was talking about Trinity roots. I'm going to get to that for sure. And lots of yogi tea and khichdi, so we'll talk about that too. Someone's asking about psoriasis. Oh my God, we could do like a whole series, you guys. I love this. Stevia is another good sweetener. It's a plant, and I actually found some, I don't know if I can move that far. I can't get to my cupboard right now, but I found some in Mexico that was actually just ground up stevia leaf. And so I have this tea, and I do this a lot in the summer. I take either like that Celestial Seasonings, raspberry zinger tea, yogi tea has some different kind of berry teas. I just make sun tea. Like I take a big, well, I don't know if you can see in the corner, I have these big glass jars, and I just put the tea in there and I put it out on my porch. So I make sun tea, and everybody loves this. And I do that, and you can put a little bit of stevia in there, which is a great sweetener. I don't particularly like the taste in baked goods or my tea, when I'm having my rooibos or my chai in the morning or my Kenyan tea. I don't like stevia. I don't like the aftertaste, but I do like it. I liked it in this kind of tea when you have this kind of berry tea from Celestial Seasonings or whatever tea company you like. This is a Kenyan tea I got. It's a loose tea, and I add a little apple juice to it. Or you can add stevia. And the cool thing about stevia, it doesn't affect your pancreas the way regular sweeteners do. So your pancreas is not putting out insulin the way it would with some of these other sweeteners. So even though like maple syrup, sugar, coconut sugar, they still have a glycemic index. So your pancreas is putting out insulin, and which we don't want. So when you're having stevia, you don't have that insulin response that it does with some of these other sweeteners. So if you're really trying to keep your blood sugar low and you're dealing with diabetes or something like that, stick with stevia. That's a great one. I don't think it's that expensive. And I've got it up at Smith's, which is like a Kroger chain here, so you can get it in a lot of places. Someone from Punjab, I hope you're great. Amardeep, we're thinking of you. So Roman is asking about cacao. I don't know if you heard me mention chocolate. For me, I need to stay away from. I don't even I put cacao nibs, which are also in my cupboard, I can't pull out right now, in our smoothie the other day. I'm okay with it once in a while. The problem with cacao is kind of okay by itself. The problem with it, if you have it like in a chocolate bar, they add sweetener, a lot sugar, and dairy a lot of times. So that's what affects a lot of people. I wouldn't recommend a lot of chocolate or cacao, like even if you get the powder or the nibs. I personally still have an issue with it, but everybody is different. That's supposed to be a superfood. So, check with your own system. And again, if you are just jumping on or hearing this for the first time, or even if you've heard it before, I'm always telling my patients, find your own balance. Like find what your your baseline is. I know what my baseline is. Like, I'm in good shape right now. So if I have something that doesn't agree with me, my body registers it right away and it tells me right away, this isn't okay. It depends on where my immune system is, what my stress level is, what my pain level is at the time. So I'm constantly just checking in with all of that. So I do have chocolate periodically, but I'm trying to stay away from it right now. Reg Mantra is asking about Trinity roots. I'll talk to that in just a second. Okay, so I've answered almost all the questions. So yeah, just going back, local food, as much local food as you can purchase. If you're not, of course, just go to your grocery store, pick up produce. I always want to encourage organic because I care about our planet, I care about our bodies, I care about the animals and the water. So anytime they're spraying, I'm going to call it crap because it's crap on vegetables, and all the farmers, that's happening in Punjab and all over the world, they're spraying all these horrible chemicals on their produce and their farms, and they're getting sick, their families are getting sick, their communities are getting sick. It happens here in the US. There's documentaries on it. So I care about that, and I don't mind spending a few extra dollars. I feel like it's worth it. We don't go to doctors very often. We take the money that we would spend on doctors and spend it on our food instead. So I know diabetes medication is horribly expensive in the US, like crazy expensive. I think some people spend $300 to $500 a month on it. And I would rather spend that $300 to $500 a month on eating really awesome food. And if I'm spending an extra $4 on a bunch of kale that I'm buying from my local farmer, for me it's a win-win situation. I'm supporting his health, the support of the land, which inevitably too, if they're not spraying chemicals, I'm not getting toxic loads from the water and the soil. And then I'm also not getting it in my body, because if these chemicals are sprayed on there, my body has to deal with it along with the pollution I'm getting out of the air, all the EMF radiation. So that's my plug for organics. Spend the extra couple bucks. I know even in Amritsar, there's an organic market. I think it's on Saturday maybe, I'm not sure. We'll have one of my friends just popping in here. Hi, hey Megan, I'm just doing a live video right now, so I can't come to the door. I'm happy to see you. Love you. Hi, sweetie. Love you. Anyways, buy organic whenever possible. If you can't, don't worry about it. Wash it off, do your best, and just enjoy it. But pretty much everything I have here is organic. I noticed the cashews I bought were not organic, but I didn't realize that, or I couldn't find them. So, let's start with Trinity root because someone was asking about that. So if you are an Indian cook, you know about these vegetables. So this is ginger in its full form. This is an onion. And this is not a whole head of garlic because I need to go to the grocery store and it's a partial head of garlic. But all three of these things we call Trinity roots. In Ayurveda, if you're not familiar with that, if you've been cooking Indian style your whole life and your mom and your grandma, this is very basic. It's Trinity roots because it's the very basic. It's like the essence of all Indian food I know specifically. So all of these foods, what's amazing about them, and I was reading in this book, the same one, this Healing Foods book, I was looking all these foods up, and all three of them, I think they're amazing. They're all antiviral, they're all antibacterial, they pull toxins out of the body. So with all three of these things, you're getting huge amounts of health benefits just from having these. I was talking to a friend on the phone the other day, and she was making khichdi, and she said she put like a cup of ginger in there. She's like, I never eat ginger, but she's like, oh, this is an ad. By the time we were finished talking, she had finished. But she was doing the same thing, huge amounts of ginger. And I just want to read a couple things about ginger also, the health benefits. So aside from being antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral, oh, my husband's making these more obvious. I just want to read this really cool thing about ginger. Right now, as we know, there's so much going on in the world. And so one of the cool things about food, because there's also a spiritual component to all of them. So you think of ginger and how it's grown. It's a root. So it's grown in the ground and it nestles there, like it stays in the soil. So it's really earthy. So when you think of things that are earthy, you're grounded, you get there. And potatoes are another great example of these. And there's this thing about potatoes and being really glycemic, like really high in sugar. And I've actually, in courses I've been to, they actually say potatoes have more glycemic content than actual sugar, which I find a little silly. But when I was reading in this book last year, he said the potatoes, because they grow in groups, it's actually when you need more togetherness, when you need more family time, more family energy, potatoes are really good for that, and they're really grounding. So it's bringing you into the ground, it's getting you into your body. Because sometimes when we get too much in our head and we're thinking too much, or we're nervous, we're afraid, we get out of our bodies. So things like ginger helps you get back into your body again. And same with all three of these actually, because garlic and onions, all three of these grow in the ground. So you're getting that grounding energy from these three vegetables. Okay, so highly medicinal, all three of these. Ginger is also a nerve tonic. So if you're feeling really nervous and you're kind of feeling out of sorts, you can make a cup of ginger tea. So, okay, so we're good on updates. So I would just take, if you're making ginger tea for yourself, I would probably take maybe this much after you've washed it, slice it up or chop it up and put it in maybe 2 cups of water and just let it boil for 20 minutes. When it's yellow like that, you want to make sure the rings inside you can see, and that's when you know it's done. Strain it out and drink that. And then if you want to, you can add some lemon. Lemon is also and someone was debating with me on this the other day, but I just read it again this morning, that lemon has the highest amount of bioavailable vitamin C found in nature. So when you have your ginger tea, if you want to add some lemon, lemon also helps open your heart and it brings vitality. And I just thought that was super beautiful also. So ginger tea is great for that. And then ginger tea is really good for headaches. So if you're feeling like a tension headache, because it helps open up and soothe the muscles. So if you're feeling headachy, have some ginger tea. It's also really good if you feel achy or sore. And I was also reading, I forgot about this, that, you know, if you're achy and sore, like say after a workout, your lactic acid is being produced in your muscles. But also if you're sitting for long periods, that your muscles are also in this strained position. So your muscles are also producing lactic acid. And if you're not familiar with lactic acid, it's that byproduct of muscle movement. So when you feel sore, when you've done a movement you haven't done in a long time and you feel sore, that's lactic acid and it's just sitting in your muscles. So you want to get that cleared out of your muscles, and that can be either with movement. Ginger is great for this. Water is really good for that. Okay, so I want to make sure I got everything I wanted to tell you about ginger. So everything I told you about ginger for now, lots of other good properties. I'm just trying to keep it really simple for now. Onions are really good too. If you have raw onions every day, it's really good for virus and bacteria. So you can do that with like making some kind of a salsa or a chutney, or even just chopping up onions and putting that on your toast or on your veggie burger or your sandwich, whatever it is. Making sure you get that every day is really, really good. And then your garlic has incredible healing properties as well. So we oftentimes will just have this raw, like you take the peel off, I crush it, and then I always make my salad dressing. I use raw garlic all the time for salads. But then you can also, I have a recipe on my website, a video on YouTube that you can make ginger, onions, and garlic toast. So you take, I would say probably depend if it's just you could take maybe that amount of ginger. And I made this when we were in Mexico last week when the virus was just starting to ramp up. So we did ginger, and you could take maybe half an onion and 4 or 5 cloves of garlic, chop all those up and put it in a little bit of water to saute it in a pan. You could add a little bit of ghee if you wanted to do that, and then saute it so that it's all soft. And then make your toast, gluten-free hopefully, and put your Trinity roots on your toast. You can add a little bit of non-dairy cheese. What? Turmeric too. Oh, and you can, my husband's just saying you can add turmeric to it also. So if you wanted to saute all of those and add some turmeric, that would be awesome. So that's something you could do every day, which I'm reminding myself now that I'm talking that we should be doing that every day. So I will add that to my grocery list today. Okay, and then yes, someone's mentioning yogi tea. Oh, someone's in Germany. Awesome, awesome. Oh, and someone at Umberdeep, I pronounced your name correctly. Awesome. Happy to, I know it's hard with our names. It's a little bit different. Umberdeep saying Himachal Hills. They're away from Punjab. Okay. Yeah, if you can get the vegetables, the better. Tajinder Singh is saying vegetarian. Yes, we're all vegetarian too. So fun to share this stuff. I know I wanted to do a cooking class with a friend, but I realized she's not vegetarian, so that wouldn't work. Not for this, but something else. See, everything is vegetarian here that we're teaching. If you do eat meat, you can probably stay away from meat right now because meat's also really hard to digest. It puts a lot of strain on your digestive system. So maybe take a break for a little bit right now. Give the animals a little bit longer life and give the plant a little bit of a break. So turmeric, I wanted to mention now that my husband mentioned that. Most of you know about turmeric. I have it in this bag and I didn't put it out because I thought maybe everybody would know. Can you see that? So, but you probably all know turmeric. And turmeric is an amazingly healing spice. I made a video on making haldi milk or golden milk several years ago, and it's one of my most popular videos. And even when I'm out in the store, people say, "You're the turmeric lady." So turmeric is amazing because it helps, what it actually does is it helps clear out the liver. And so when it clears out the liver, it decreases so much inflammation. And I won't go into a whole physiology lesson on that. But when you clear out the liver, it helps clean the blood. And when the blood is clean, it helps decrease so much of the inflammation we have in our bodies. So it's a detoxifier. So there's so many ways you can use turmeric. If you already make curries and sabjis and dals, you're probably already using turmeric. If you're new to turmeric, like I said, you can use this on the Trinity root, that ginger, onions, and garlic toast. You can saute it in there with it. I have a golden milk video you can take a look at. You can watch that. A lot of times when I'm making rice, I'll just put a tablespoon of turmeric in there so it makes it golden. I'll squeeze some lemon in there because, again, lemon has really high vitamin C, and I'll shave some of the peel off and I put that in the lemon also. Sometimes, I don't normally do this, but sometimes if I really need it, I'll put it into a smoothie, which we're going to do smoothies today. So I won't put it in there because it doesn't taste very good. It makes it a little bitter. So turmeric's a hugely good one. It's also antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial. So a lot of these foods I'm presenting to you today are really good for building your immune system and also help fighting a lot of this stuff. Okay. Oh, cool. Then Raj Mantra is also saying he's making this solstice soup, potatoes, onions, and celery. I just read some amazing stuff about this morning. He's saying with chili pepper and cayenne and lots of minced garlic. So love it. Yes, celery has some incredible healing benefits too, which if we do another class, I'm going to do an experiment on myself and my family for the next couple of weeks with celery. So I want to see what, I know this man talks about. A lot of my patients do celery juice for joints and gut issues. I want to also mention the gut and elimination right now too. So good. Amardeep's doing ginger tea twice a day. Awesome. And I don't know if you're in Dharamsala. I don't know if that's in Himachal, but we were doing ginger lemon tea when we were in Dharamsala, and I just loved that with the honey. It's amazing. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so everything we're doing is very immune boosting. Elimination's really important. So make sure in all of my classes that I've been teaching, especially these last couple weeks, I think water was my first email I ever put out several years ago, because water is one of the easiest things to do to help clear out your liver, clear your kidneys, get your blood volume up, get your lymph moving, clear out your gut. So water's number one. You should be drinking at least 8 ounces a day of water, but that's even on the low end. You should be drinking more than that. First thing in the morning, brush your teeth and get all the gunk out of your throat. Then drink a glass of water. And if you can, add a little bit of lemon and a little bit of salt. And I have, if you can see, it's a little dirty, but this is, if you can tell, this is sea salt. You want to stay away from that kind of regular salt you just get at the store. You want to get either sea salt or Himalayan salt because it has more, creates more electrolytes in your water. So if you can put a little pinch of salt in there and a little bit of lemon, that's going to help clear out your liver first thing in the morning, because the liver collects all the toxins overnight while we're sleeping. And so if we don't clear them out, they just stay there and they might have a little bit harder time. As we get older, we have more and more buildup. So the water and the salt and the lemon, especially, if you can do that, helps clear that gunk out of the liver so it can continue to do its job well. It'll also clear out your kidneys and your intestinal system, which you want. You need good elimination right now. Always, but especially right now, you've got to get everything your body's dealing with. Make sure you get it out of your system so it can mount a better immune defense for yourself. So water, like I said, we have this herbal tea that we have. So I like this because it has more electrolytes in it. When I'm just drinking plain water, we have a filter on our sink, but the filters, most of them are that great, and I'm saving money for the filter I really do want. But this one, most of the water filters, they take all the minerals out. They take the toxins out, but they also take the minerals out. So it kind of strips the water of a lot of the good stuff that our body really needs. So especially when it starts getting warm, I just feel like the water is not doing enough. So I make sure I'll do lemon and salt, or cucumber and salt and water, or this herbal tea with some of the sorry, I'm just kind of looking at people's comments here. So I'm making sure I'm keeping up with everything. But yeah, we'll do this herbal tea with a little bit of apple juice or a little bit of stevia. So just make sure you're drinking a lot through the day. Viruses also, when it's really dry in our throats, it allows for the virus to go in more easily. Our cells need a lot of water in them. It'll help keep your health healthy and keep the viruses out of there. Okay, I think I've talked about everything in general. I want to talk about a couple foods, and I was thinking, oh cool, someone's drinking tea with ginger, cumin, turmeric, cardamom, honey, and black pepper. I love it. So the black pepper is good also. So that brings me, and a couple people have mentioned like yogi tea, or like chai, when you're having things like the black peppercorns. That helps, it purifies the blood. Cloves are really good they're an antiviral. The cardamom helps soothe your stomach. So there's a lot of really good things that you all are probably already doing. And I just want to encourage you, keep doing that stuff. Just keep the sugar and the dairy out of it, because those things are going to kind of, they're still helpful, but just they're going to not have as much benefit. Your body's going to be, it's helping, but not helping. So just keep that in mind. I wanted to mention lemons. Lemons are just incredible, and limes, both of them. They're both very good. They're anti-parasitic, antiviral, antibacterial, and they're just like amazing. And I'm going to read this because I just read this morning. I was getting ready for this class, and I wanted to have a little bit more information that, I have my information, but I wanted to add more. And especially because I'm doing a lot of online teaching now, I just want to make sure I keep having really relevant information for all of you. So excuse me for looking down, but I just had to read this. But it says that lemons and limes are deeply hydrating. So again, you want to stay really hydrated during this time. They produce electrolytes. So again, electrolytes help your cells absorb the water into them, which we want. They're one of the top sources of mineral salts. And as I said before, one of the most highly absorbable bioavailable forms of vitamin C found in nature. It's alkalizing to you. So when our blood and our chemistry in our body is alkaline, it helps your body be able to fight off invaders much more. When we have an acidic environment, and acidity comes from like the things I was talking about, gluten, dairy, sugar, stress, things like that. It creates an acidic environment, and that makes it more hospitable or more enjoyable for these bad critters to kind of grow and explore your body and multiply. So we want to keep our bodies as alkaline as possible. Lemons help with mucus. So if you have mucus in your throat or anywhere through our whole GI tract, it helps get that mucus out, which we want to get rid of. And I talked about also the water with the lemon in it to help clear your liver out. You want to do that. And on an emotional level, I thought this was really sweet. It helps with worry, sadness, and stress. So if you're feeling any of these emotions, lemons are a really great addition to your diet, and limes to help with your worry, sadness, and distress, because I think a lot of us are feeling this. And something I was talking to my acupuncture, my DOM friend a few years ago, and she said that the plants are here because they want to help us. They actually want to help us heal and grow. And when you're looking at this, it's so beautiful versus like, our snack cupboard is filled with like plastic packaging. And I look at this and it makes me feel so happy. And I feel like that's what the plant world wants from us. That's kind of the spiritual gift, a part of all the nutrients of vitality that they give us. Also, but there's the spiritual aspect of it as well. And so I really want to encourage you to, you know, and start wherever you are. Like if you're not able to access this stuff right now, just even go outside and just breathe in the plants, breathe in the nature, breathe in the enjoyment of, you know, looking out in nature and just enjoying it. So I just think it's so sweet. And I was thinking for the people who are in India, I think it's coming up on mango season. When we were in Mexico, it was definitely mango season. We were eating tons of mangoes, and our friends who were down there, they showed us a new way of just cutting the top and just peeling the skin off, so you can almost eat it like a banana, which I was so happy about. And I just felt so happy. And mangoes just make me happy anyway. I don't like a lot of fruits, but for some reason mango, they're just delicious and they're fun, and just the color is so beautiful. So it just is healing just seeing them. But when I read this morning about mangoes, he said that, I'm going to read to you again what he was saying. He said the mangoes are really good for sleep. So before you're going to bed at night, if you want to eat a mango, it produces a lot of has a lot of the amino acids that help our brain relax. So it's also good for anxiety. It's good for stress. Mangoes are also good viral inhibitors, so it helps protect against viruses. If one is constipated, which I mentioned this in my class yesterday on my channel, that apparently a huge amount of people are constipated. That's one of the number one things people buy laxatives for, or buy medications for, is for laxatives, for constipation. So he said mangoes are excellent to help get things moving. And then on an emotional level, he said that mangoes are mood uplifters. So if you're feeling a little down or a little sad, mangoes help uplift your mood, and help alleviate depression. And I thought this was really interesting, especially for now. He said they're good for those people who are feeling abandoned, cut off, forsaken, or lonely. So I thought that was so beautiful for now. So if you're feeling like that and you can get some mangoes, bring that. Even they have frozen mangoes, you can still get it, even if you can't get fresh ones. He said mangoes help us connect with our destiny, and they help us face intense circumstances. So I thought mangoes, that's like the perfect food for right now, what we're all going through. So if you can get a hold of some, we're not where we live, we're not in that place right now, but getting mangoes, but I'm looking forward to when I can, but I might just go buy some packaged ones just for fun right now. So Huddy Joke made an apple mango shake this morning. You're in Mexico, so you can totally do that. Oh, hi, Sahudi. My friend Sahudi up in Oregon. Aw, she's doing a big batch cooking today and feels like, I'm happy I can be with you. Happy I can be with any of you in your kitchens. This is my favorite place in the house. I spend half my day here every day. So yeah, so happy to see all of you. It's fun to make new friends, fun to see my old friends. Love it. So yeah, also want to mention papaya, if you can get papaya. Basically any fresh fruits and vegetables you can get right now. The less processed, the better. That's really the take-home message I want to give to you today. That's what we're doing, and very little packaged foods. I'm even making my own crackers right now because I want to make sure I have the ingredients that I want in there. I also, at the beginning of this, I was going to do a month long of not buying anything in plastic packaging. But because we're vegetarian, I realized like I can't get tofu unless it's in plastic packaging, and all the nuts I'm buying, and usually I take my own plastic bags to the bulk section so I can reuse them, and I can't do any of that right now, so I had to kind of give up on that. But definitely I'm trying to stay away from, like, I'm not buying crackers, cookies, things like that. Like, I'm making them all myself, so I at least ensure that I'm not using extra plastic packaging from those places. So, okay. Awesome. So what I wanted to do, my last thing, if you have any questions, definitely put them on here. Simmer from Canada. Hi, Simmer. So nice to see you. So I'm going to make a shake. I have a Vitamix, which is an amazing blender. We've had this for like 10 years. My parents had one of these when I was growing up too. So it's like pretty much the best blender, which someone might, say it's not, but I love it. So I'm going to show you how to make a green smoothie. And what we've been doing lately, since the weather's been warmer, is we're making green smoothies, and then I'm making like a smoothie bowl. So we're instead of having like yogurt or milk or something, we're making sure I have lots of greens and then nuts and seeds and fruit in here. Oh, I want to talk to you about dates. I just thought this was really sweet also. So these are dates, and I have a big bag of these that are dried, and then I just put them in water a day or two before I need them. So I have a few, and I thought it was just good for sweetener, and I was always under the impression that having this was too much sugar. But what I was just reading in this book again, he was saying they also help with parasites, mold, heavy metals, and viruses. They're really high in minerals. They support your adrenal glands, and I'll go into the adrenal glands another time, but right now, suffice it to say, your adrenals are your fight or flight glands. So especially when people are feeling stressed or out of sorts, the adrenal glands are constantly pumping out cortisol, so that anxiety feeling, that's your adrenals at work. So the dates actually help with that, which I thought was so cool. And they're also really heart healthy. So if you're having any issues with heart health, cholesterol, things like that, it helps with all of that. So I'm going to be putting dates in. I have some different greens here, so I'm going to use a little bit of my beet greens here. I have a little bit of chard, so I'm going to put that in, and a little bit of the spinach. I use these three mostly. Sometimes I'll put lettuce in my green smoothie. They don't have much of a taste. Kale is a little bit more bitter, so I tend to not. I did this at first when I was going hardcore, but my family did not like that at all, and I kind of started not liking it too. So I'm making the smoothie, and my daughter earlier, she set all this up for me earlier, and then she said, Mama, are we going to have some smoothie afterwards? I was like, yes, that's going to be our treat after we finish teaching. So I forgot to put water in this, but I'm going to do that now. A really nice treat to have is if you can get coconut water. We have some coconuts in the fridge, but I'm saving those for later. But coconut water is so good in these smoothies. And I love coconuts. When we were in Mexico, we were getting them off the trees and eating a bunch of them. They're really high in electrolytes also. It has more nutrients and health benefits than my water, and it just tastes so good. So sorry, just bear with me for a minute. So I'm going to put water in here. I'm doing a little bit of salt because otherwise there's not much taste. I'm just doing maybe not even a quarter teaspoon. And if you're in the UK or anywhere outside of the US, really sorry, I don't know what the measurements are, but whatever your equivalent is of that. I'm making enough smoothie for all three of us. So obviously taking the pits out. And I'm going to do, sorry, I'm probably not being COVID virus sensitive here, but it's just the three of us. So taking the pits out, and I'm going to make it a little sweeter this morning just because I really actually have a sweet tooth, and having stuff like this really helps me. And now that I know they're antiviral, I can eat dates without feeling bad about it. Bananas, we always have bananas in the freezer because this is a good base. Bananas have also been kind of bad guys about how much sugar, but when I was reading this yesterday in this book also, he was saying bananas help us get to the core of who we are. And he said the bananas actually really, it's a good kind of sugar, and we have a lot of other health benefits from it. So I'm using them, and this is about the equivalent of 2 bananas, and they've been in the freezer, but we took them out a little bit ago, so they're softened up just a little bit. I have some frozen strawberries here. Depending on where you are in the world, like you can do mango, you can do berries, are high in antioxidants, so whatever berries you can get a hold of. I have a whole book on making smoothies, so you can do pears, pineapple, apple. God, it's really limitless. And when we have a grapevine outside in the summer, we put grapes in. I'll do mangoes if we have mangoes. Today, this is what I have. And this was when I was trying to not get any plastic, but I found these, so I thought at least I could reuse the plastic packaging. So I'm just opening those up for now. I'm going to do a little bit of spinach, so I'm going to just take a little handful here. And I actually should have put the greens on the bottom because the fruit pushes it down, and I forgot to do that. I'm going to take a few of these beet greens. If you have beets, I used to not use the beet greens. I used to throw them out, but now I realized how much health benefit they have. They're kind of like the chard, so I'm going to just tear them up a little bit. And then chard kind of looks like beet greens. There's not a huge difference here. There might be, which I haven't read yet, but I will get into that another time. But I'm just going to use one leaf here. And these are chia seeds. So if you haven't been introduced to chia, I love these guys. We make overnight oats quite a bit, and I use chia seeds a lot. They create this gel-like consistency. So I like it in my overnight oats, or like I even was putting it in water with lime for a while. I read this great book a long time ago about these amazing runners out of Mexico, Tara Umada, and they used chia seeds and lemon in their water, and they said that was one of the reasons they were such long endurance runners. So anyways, I use them a lot. Sometimes I use them in baking, because instead of using eggs, it helps with making that kind of congealed consistency. I'm trying to think what else I use them, but I do them in here because they're really high on the good kind of fats, omega-3s, and it's one of the things if you're vegetarian, as much as I've learned, we don't get enough omega-3s. Like fish is, like people who eat meat, fish is like the number one source of omega-3s, which are the good kind of fat, so the kind that help bring down inflammation in our systems. So chia seeds are really high in those. So I just try to add in whatever I can. These are cashews. They're raw and unsalted, and I've been letting their pieces. So I've been letting these soak just for a couple of hours. If you're having full cashews, you probably want to soak them for about 3 to 4 hours. But I use these a lot, especially when I'm going really hardcore vegan and I don't want to use cream. We can do another class on that. How much you can do with cashews. I blend these up in the blender oftentimes, and I'll use that in place if I'm making a creamy soup or like a quiche or something. I'll blend these up with a little bit of lemon, garlic, salt, and put that in like my butternut squash soup and make it creamy. It's so good. And most people who don't even know about it, most of my friends are not, they are dairy eaters. So here's my shake. Give me just a minute because I do have to blend it up, but I just want to show you what it looks like. So it takes just a minute. Hope you can hear me. This goes pretty fast. If you don't have this kind of blender, it might take a little bit longer. It might be a little more chunky, which is fine. Okay, thanks for bearing with me on that one. But Sahari Vegan, love it. Okay, so my workspace is getting a little messier than it was before. But I just want to show you, because this is a great option. I was doing a class a couple days ago and someone was saying they were having one of these smoothie bowls for lunch as I was doing my class. So this is a little grayer than I normally have it, but because the strawberries are in there mixing with the green, then it made it a little bit more gray. But you can top this with coconut. We do goji berries, coconut shreds. I know if you're in India, you can get all kinds of, I know my husband's pointing, but I don't want to keep moving around. And I know this is getting really long, so I don't want to, here's granola. My husband, I make my own granola because I don't like store-bought. I think it's expensive and not very good. Mine's really good. I do use butter, Sahari, unfortunately, but I'm trying to find something else. But here's my smoothie bowl with granola. My husband's trying to get me to make something so he can have it afterward, I can tell. So there's a little bit more coconut, and you can top it with any kind of fruit. So my husband loves papaya, which we don't have right now, which I will try to get at the store today. Any kind of fruit you want to, but we've been doing this instead of yogurt because we've been really staying away from yogurt because of the whole mucus situation. So hopefully you can see it, and it looks kind of pretty. The other day, like I said, I put bananas and chocolate or cacao nibs, so we had kind of like a chocolate banana smoothie bowl. Sahari, you were asking about bananas turning brown. I haven't had that issue. I think I don't know. You just saw mine, and we just cut them up and put them straight in the bag. So I don't know why they're turning brown. I can look it up though. They might, it might be overripe. Hadi Joe's replying to someone who's having some sleep issues and mind calming, saying nutmeg with warm milk and cardamom. That sounds awesome. Good job. Yeah, I love that, Hadijo. That's an awesome idea. Golden milk is great for sleeping at night too. A lot of us, and always. The past couple of years have been kind of intense, and especially more now. So a lot of people are having anxiety and sleep issues. I've had people contact me via email. They're having some anxiety and some different issues. So the food, there's so much you can do with food. And I put this, I spent a little more time on my video last week, but stay away from all kinds of caffeine. So no black tea, no cha, no coffee, sodas, stay away from caffeine 100% if we're looking at it from a food perspective. I think Hadi Jo is absolutely right. I would totally do that golden milk, add some nutmeg to it, maybe a little bit of poppy seeds. And you can also add ginger. That's something I would do too. And again, I have great herbal teas I use at night. I have this one I get from this company called Wish Garden Herbs. If you're in the US or Canada, you can probably order it. It's called a deep stress tea. I could even next week if we need to do another fill-in, I could do another class. We could just make teas, calming herbal teas. So I think that might be really important for people right now, because I know sleep is an issue for a lot of people, including myself. I'm getting through it. I'm getting better. But a lot of meditation, a lot of self-introspection, a lot of staying away from movies and TV and things like that make me feel stressed. Even the Great British Baking Show we were watching the other night. We watched 2 episodes and the music was getting kind of intense, and you feel bad for the participants and how much they're hurting. And I had a little bit harder time sleeping that night, I have to admit. And I know this is a PBS publication, but it was still enough that made me feel a little bit not so great. So with sleeping and anxiety, it's a big deal. Food-wise, that's what I would start with, is keeping away from the caffeine, eating really soothing foods, getting your bedtime routine, this could be a whole nother class, dealing with anxiety, which I could potentially do next week because it's something I've gone through in the past and I'm still healing from, way better, but I've gone through it, so I can definitely work with that. Someone's asking about oat milk here, OAT milk. I think it's great. Of course, everybody's got something to say about every single food there is. So I think it's fine. My husband really loves it. I don't like it in my tea, so that's always the kind of milk that determines what I like or not. But I know a lot of people really love it. If I'm out at a cafe, I'll have steamed oat milk because they know how to make it right for some reason. So I think it's great. I think it has less impact, from what I understand, on the environment. Almond milk has a high impact on the environment. Soy is controversial. Rice milk, I don't think they're even making rice milk anymore. So I think it's a good one. So if that's one of the vegan milks you want to do, I think that's good. So any other questions? I know we're going on an hour here, and we did a lot in an hour. Okay, my husband's saying the battery might be going too. So I've got allergies. It's not coronavirus. I want to just do a really quick talk about supplements to take while you're going through this. This could be a whole nother class. It's not necessarily food related, but making sure you're taking vitamin C, you're taking zinc, vitamin D, magnesium, and selenium. So vitamin C, you can take 2,000, is it milligrams or IUs? Let me make sure. I always get these things wrong. Anyways, 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C. You can do that twice a day. If you're starting to feel symptoms, you can take it every 2 to 3 hours. Vitamin C is eliminated pretty quickly from our bodies. So you want to keep that in your system if you're starting to feel like a sore throat, or I've heard allergy symptoms, or some of the symptoms of the coronavirus. So just make sure you're keeping your immune system up. Vitamin D, you can take about 3,000 IUs a day. A lecture I was listening to a couple weeks ago, this doctor was saying that his colleagues say if you're feeling something, take 150,000 IUs for up to 3 days to help combat viruses and sicknesses. I'm doing 50,000 right now, just to keep my immune system up, just because we came back from a trip. Zinc, I don't remember I don't have my notes here with me, but how many?
20, I think.
20 milligrams. Okay, 20 milligrams of zinc. And then selenium foods, I would go with that. You can do apricots, asparagus, bananas, and berries, all really high in selenium. So everything, if you can get your stuff from food, it's actually ideal. Unfortunately, a lot of our food is depleted in nutrients because it's been grown in depleted soils. It's being transported for days, and so we're not getting all the nutrients that we should be getting from them. But ideally, we want to always get things from our food, or you maybe don't have access to all the kinds of food. But I'm just giving you options just in case you're not the food's not available to you, but you can take the supplements, or if you can't take the supplements, then you can get the food. So hope that helps you guys. It's been really fun. Thanks for all the feedback. Just a couple more questions here. Someone's asking about joint pain. It's interesting because I was thinking, because I'm a chiropractor, so I'm dealing with joint pain with people all the time, and that could be like a whole class on itself. And I'm actually just launching, I have a 10-day turmeric challenge, hoping to get that done by the end of the week. So, and it's a paid class, but, and it's really, we're making it really affordable for everybody. So that's a great one. It goes through all the different kinds of foods to eat, to not eat. But one of the really great ones is celery. Eating celery or celery juice is really great for joint pain. So is turmeric. Any of my patients who have joint pain, right away, I get them off gluten, dairy, sugar, and start them on turmeric. So if you can, a lot of times just cleaning up your diet will help us so much with joint pain. And joint pain can also be related to bowel issues or GI issues. So if your bowel is not eliminating properly, or if there's some, again, this could be a whole nother class, but I know a lot of people have joint pain, so I'll just address it right now. So if these tight junctions we have in our large intestine are kind of broken apart due to toxins, too much medications, foods that are not good for us, they start opening up, and a lot of the food particles start getting back into the bloodstream, and then our body starts attacking those foods because food is not supposed to be moving around in the bloodstream, and so people can get joint pain from that also. So diet is number one. I tell people it's really hard. It's not an overnight thing. It takes sometimes up to a year. I'm actually doing a lot of reading on this right now. So one of the doctors I'm reading this book, he was saying it can take up to a year for people to start shifting a lot of these habits and the way your body responds to food. So we can do a whole class just on joint pain. Freezing smoothies, I haven't frozen smoothies. I think it might get too hard, and kind of the consistency would get kind of weird. I have seen people put them in ice cube trays, and you can make little ones and then use them, like let those de-thaw, maybe put it into something later on. You could do that. Someone's asking about acidity issues. It causes high blood pressure. That's a whole nother thing also. Again, I would go back to and recommend diet. With acidity, it depends on where the acidity is, because if it's stomach acidity, or depending on where it is in your system. Another just kind of quick thing I could just say at the moment is celery. It helps alkalize that acidity. It could also be like, and that's something I would have to probably talk privately about, but I would just start with your diet. Dairy, wheat, sugar, and add celery into your diet, and add the turmeric into your diet too, and the lemons. Even though lemons are acidic, but it helps actually alkalize your system. So I would do that also. Okay, I think that's it for now. I don't see any more questions that are. I'm so happy, Reg Mantra. Thank you for enjoying it. Thank you for being here, everyone. I love this stuff. And if you want more, let us know, because we can do more cooking classes. We can do more talks about food in relation to specific health issues. And I think this is a time also, if you're not, everybody's so focused on the coronavirus right now that people aren't focused on the rest of their health issues, or they're not really encouraged to go into their doctors right now. And doctors have, a certain scope of what they're working in. And what I'm really into is getting you to feel empowered to heal yourself through mental, emotional, food, lifestyle. And so I love sharing that with all of you. So I have some online courses that were available. With my blessing during this is I'm getting to work on all this stuff. I'm getting to do teaching with you, which I don't normally get to do because I'm busy with my practice, and creating more online classes that go through a lot of this stuff step by step. So I loved being here with all of you, and I'll probably be seeing you again. And I'm doing Tuesday, Thursday classes on my own Dr. Arjan channel, 10:30 Mountain Standard Time in the morning. So on Facebook. So if you want to do those, I'm doing meditation, a little bit, like a couple yoga things that are relevant and pertinent to what we're going through, and always a little bit of a lecture on just keeping yourself healthy and inspired and uplifted and creating community. So thank you all. It's so awesome being with all of you. God bless you wherever you are. Stay uplifted, stay safe, support your community, reach out to people who need it. There's a lot of people who are by themselves. Make sure you're reaching out to people and giving them the love that they need to at this time, okay? Anything else? Did I miss anything? No. Okay. All right, guys. Love you so much. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.